You started as an engineering intern in 1980. You grew up at Xerox through engineering, product development, manufacturing. Eventually, you became Ann Mulcahy's number 2. Xerox was on the brink of bankruptcy. You actually thought very, very seriously about leaving.
I did.
You almost left.
I took a job at another company, yeah.
I know what company that was.
It's the closest thing to almost leaving. It's like accepting a job. And if it weren't in Texas, I probably would not be at Xerox right now.
Okay. Yeah. So you want to say what company that was?
Was it with Dell?
Yep.
Yeah, it was with Dell.
You took a job, and what was the job?
It was the head of the supply chain for Dell. It's similar to the job that I was doing at Xerox. It was good, a good job, and it was at a bad time at Xerox. So it was a good offer at the worst time. And if it weren't for that match, it would have never, I would have never gotten as far down the path as I did. I was born and raised at Xerox as a professional. I mean, I came out of school before I even graduated and walked into this company. So when I got to Xerox, everything was good. I prided myself and prided the company in the fact that they didn't work too hard on me, you know, on the things that were not contributing to the company bottom line. They worked on me. You know, how many challenging tasks I had, etc. But in that journey, we had gotten a little confused about what our company wanted to be. And at this time, I had ascended through the company to run manufacturing. So at this point, I realized that all the work that I could do, all the work that my organization could do, would not have any impact on the company. You know, you work all the time, all day, and you can't feel as though it would have no impact. And so I got a call at the same time. Always happens this way. And it was from a gentleman who graduated from my undergraduate school, Mort Stevenson. And he was the vice chair of Dell. He said, you know, I'm tracking you, you should come over. And I said yes. I said yes, I would listen, not yes that I would come. And of course, it was a compelling story. So I went through this whole process, brought my family to Texas. It was in Texas. I mean, it's like unbelievable. For me, I'm a New York City, I'm a Lower East Side Northeasterner. I'm not a Southern State person. And so going to Texas for myself and my husband was a big deal. And we accepted the job, and I called the head of HR, who at the time was a really great guy. His name was Hector Matroni. And he said, well, have you called Paul? Paul was now made the chairman. And so he said, I said I hadn't. He said, okay. And he hung up, and I don't know what he did, but the next call I got was from Vernon Jordan. Now, Vernon Jordan, my mother knows of Vernon Jordan. But at this time, I knew about him, but he was
For those who may not know who Vernon Jordan is, tell them who Vernon Jordan is.
He is they call him, if you Google him, a power broker. I still haven't quite figured out what that meant, but I now know what it means. It means that he can pick up the phone and call anybody, and they'll call him back. That's basically the reason.
Lawyer, counselor to president, and mover and shaker.
Yeah, and he called, and I was clearly an admirer of his, but I didn't know him as well as I know him now. And he said he wanted to talk to me about some situations that were happening in the company. And I said, of course. So he and one of our other board members, Nick Nicholas, connected with me and said, I heard you're leaving and you shouldn't leave. And now you have to understand, I'm in manufacturing, and I'm like buried. I'm like, how do you know who I am? And it turns out that they had perceived, and it was correct, that I had a very tight relationship with Paul. And if I left, their perception was that it would be a signal to the company that I had lost confidence in this whole transition that was going to happen. And even though I didn't really manage anything that was huge, manufacturing is huge, but it was not like the CFO or anything, that this would have been a big deal if I left. So and Vernon had a talk with me, which, you know, I don't know, he remembers, sometimes doesn't remember. He's getting a little older, so I get it. He said to me, Burns. I said, yes, Mr. Jordan. This is when I still called him Mr. Jordan. He said, so I heard you're thinking of leaving. I said, I've already accepted a job somewhere else. He said, so I'm going to give you a story, Burns. I said, okay. He said, your husband No, I won't talk about your husband. Friend, good friend. This friend has been a friend for a long time. They've taken you on trips, showed you the world. You know this is a good friend of yours. Now he's a little ill. And you get a call from another friend who's well. And the friend who's well says, that friend who's sick is slowing you down. Go see the other friend. Come with me. I can kind of speed you up a little bit. And by the way, you can get back and help the other friend later. He said, would you do it? I said, of course not. What kind of stupid question is this? Of course not. He says, well, that's what you're about to do. I said, really? He said, yeah. This company's sick and it needs you, and you benefited from 20 years of just great. I traveled all over the world. I had great opportunities. I had great fun, made good money. How dare you thinking of leaving? And I said, I'll go home and think about it. I don't know what I said exactly, but I left home and thought about it. And I called Hector back 2 days later and said, I'm staying. And he said to me, how much money were they offering you at Dell? And I said, well, it's not about the money. Eventually I got back to the money, by the way. But I said, it's not about the money. I'm staying not because of the money. And Vernon had told me a lot of other things as well. He said, it's really hard to hop and become the leader of a company. I think you have the shot at being leader of a company. He just said that there's more to it than you're thinking about right now, and it's important that you think about it in a broader way. So he was very helpful at the time, and he still is. Actually, still is.